What's going on, and welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, John Kelly here with my good friend Jeremiah Stringer. How you doing, man?
Hey, dude. I'm doing great. And if you're watching, you see that we're at an unusual place. We have never recorded here. Where are we at?
We are at Manos Coffee Crafters. It's a coffee shop here in Nicholasville, where I live, right off of 27, which is like a main thoroughfare through Kentucky. And actually, from my house to your house is mostly on this road.
Dude, I just rode my motorcycle up here. Beautiful day.
It's a perfect day for riding a motorcycle.
Struck it perfect.
No doubt about it.
And traffic wasn't bad. Weather's great. And now I get to get here and spend some quality time with my good friend John Kelly.
Oh, and you've got this beautiful latte right now that, like, you got the leaf on top and everything. I wish we could turn the camera sideways and show you guys what this thing looks like, but it is pretty fancy.
You check out our Instagram.
That's
you can
true.
see it.
That's true.
I always feel so weird, man, because I got a decaf coffee, and then, like, anytime I order decaf, everybody's like, okay, just decaf coffee, right? You want cream and sugar with it? But then I was like, can we do something with that decaf? Caramel macchiato.
Oh, yeah,
You don't have to be boring with the decaf.
No, you can still be good. You can still be good.
Yeah.
So listen, I got to know. Now, Jeremiah this past weekend got to go on a trip that I really wanted to go on but didn't get the opportunity to go on because of just timing and all that kind of stuff. But you got to go to the Sipsey Wilderness down in Alabama. Why don't you tell us a little about that trip this weekend and the guys you went with and kind of what happened while you were there?
Well, we were supposed to go to Arkansas, and it was supposed to be, I think, me backpacking with Jason, As Crow Flies hiking, and Gone Feral with Squidly. I don't know if he's supposed to originally go to Arkansas or not, but he's on this trip that we went to Alabama.
Right.
And backpacking with Buckley. And Buckley couldn't go. He couldn't make it. So we were like, well, we've been wanting to make it to Alabama. I know that you've been, but I have never backpacked down there. So,
were you as surprised as I was?
Dude, it was where I went was Sipsey Wilderness, and
Right.
It was a lot like Kentucky. I mean, it was like walking around Big South Fork, Daniel Boone National Forest area.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Well, like I said, when I went on my trip to Alabama, I remember thinking to myself, when I think of Alabama, I don't think of backpacking.
Uh-huh.
You know, when I think of Alabama, I think of tornadoes.
Yeah, football.
And football and heat.
Yeah.
But man, when I went down, it was one of the best backpacking trips I've been on yet.
Well, they were explaining to me, like Crow's a local guy.
Right.
So he was explaining to me how they're making those wilderness areas. They're like designating them, fighting for them to make them wilderness areas. And they must have done a good job because whenever I was there, I mean, there was no trash. It was like,
wow.
You think about in the creeks and rivers and stuff, anytime you go around here, there's always all kinds of stuff like that's been washed down, whether it's old paint cans or tires or, whatever.
Right.
Dude, I didn't see one tire in any water source literally the whole time I was there for 3 days.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I thought it's crazy.
That's amazing.
We went, it was like a 6-hour drive for Jason and I, and the four of us went, Crow, Squid, me, and Jason, and we rode down there. Everything went smoothly. I was a little bit under the weather going, but I thought it's just allergies, but that might not be true because on the way back, Jason had the exact same symptoms that I had on the way down there.
No.
Stuffy head and stuff, but he'll get over it. I was like,
he'll live.
You're a grown man. You'll be okay.
He'll live. Although he's getting pretty old, so we don't do as well with our colds when we get older.
Excuse me. Did I tell you about Jason telling me about people wishing him a happy birthday?
Yes. Yes.
He said,
Thank you to our audience, by the way, for that, because the fact that so many of you wished him a happy 50th birthday,
dude,
that just makes our day.
He said just out of nowhere he was getting these messages on Instagram and these comments on, and his birthday's Christmas Eve. And so
that's awesome.
He was like, what in the world? And then he knew after he started seeing JK and JS we had something to do with it.
Yeah, for those of you who maybe are new to the podcast, you'll know what we're talking about. Just like the last episode or the episode before, Jason is a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
He has a channel called Backpacking with Jason, and his name's Jason Waugh. And Jason and I are the same age. Like, a lot of people don't realize that, but Jason and I are the same age. We're both 48. But in one of our last episodes, we decided to poke fun at him and say that he was getting ready to turn 50. And we told everybody to wish him a happy birthday. And we're so happy that so many people actually did that.
Yeah, it was cracking me up, dude. I was talking to him on the phone in preparation for this trip. You know, we were getting everything figured out, and he was telling me, and I was laughing my hind end off.
I think it's great.
It's fun to poke fun at him, man. He's a fun guy to hang out with. And on our trip, we headed out to the Sipsey. So we got there, 6-hour drive, and oh man, dude, I have a story for you.
Oh,
we had a full-on Karen experience at one of the hotels. The manager.
I gotta hear it. Tell me about it.
So I have this quota whenever I travel with Jason, and I think I get 2 screw-ups a trip. So usually it's like a wrong turn or like wrong directions. Like I mark it on the GPS to take us to the wrong trailhead or something like that. Well, on this trip, Jason and I, we needed a hotel because we were driving 6 hours. We didn't want to hike the same day.
Right.
So we got a hotel, and I was like, dude, where do we want to book this hotel? We want to just book it while we're driving because usually it's not a big deal. And so he's like, yeah, let's do that. So we were driving, and we got about an hour and a half away from the trailhead. And I was like, we need to get to this hotel pretty soon. The closest hotel to the trailhead was a Days Inn, which is like a pretty crappy hotel. No offense, Days Inn. You know, it's a cheap, it's an economy.
It's typically a backpacker friendly type of hotel, though.
It is
because they're not 4 or 5 star. They're not trying to be super
2-star.
fancy. You know, they're like, hey, thanks for giving us your money.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to stay there, and neither did Jason. And it was 25 minutes from the trailhead. And we were like, well, we could stay there. Literally the only hotel or motel in Moulton, Alabama.
Moulton.
Yes. Which
the name of the town is Moulton.
Moulton, and 25 minutes away from the trailhead, which is absolutely perfect.
That's awesome.
You would think, that's a score, right?
Yeah, that's a win.
Well, it wasn't because it was Days Inn, and we kind of decided about the lowest that we wanted to stay at was Holiday Inn.
Right,
okay?
right.
So we were looking for a Holiday Inn, and I was like, okay, dude, I found one. It was in Decatur, Alabama, which is just across the Tennessee River. Mm-hmm. Huge river. And as we were approaching, I was like, okay, you want me to go ahead and book this? Decatur Hotel. Looked at the address and everything, good to go. And he's like, yep, go ahead and book it. I booked it, right? Jason and I got separate rooms. It was $371 total. So about $180, $85 a piece.
Right.
Well, for me, just by myself, that's a fairly expensive room, $185 to stay for
one night.
Yeah, I'm getting there at like, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m., and I'm getting up the next morning at 6:30 and rolling out.
Yeah.
So 12 hours there isn't very long. Anyway, we booked the hotel. I clicked it on my GPS, and we put it down, and we were using my phone as the GPS. And then we got to the hotel, and Jason's like, this ain't right. Because then when I checked, it was only 19 more minutes from Decatur to Moulton. So theoretically, it should only added 19 minutes to our drive to the trailhead.
Right.
25 minutes plus 19 minutes.
Right.
But we were still an hour and like 6 or 7 minutes or something like that, an hour and 15 minutes away from the trailhead. So Jason's like, this can't be right. And I was like, dude, I clicked it on the phone. This is definitely the hotel. I was like, I even have the address right here on the confirmation email. And he was like, well, you must have booked the wrong one. And sure enough, I had booked the wrong hotel.
Oh, no.
I went into the lobby. He was like, let's just go in and talk to him. Well, I went in there, and I talked to the girl at the front desk, and I was like, hey, I don't really know how to tell you this, but I'm supposed to have a hotel that's on the other side of the river. You know, we're on the north side of the river. We need to be on the south side. Or is east and west? I don't know.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, what's your name? And I told her, and she's like, oh, let me look it up. And she looked it up, and she's like, looks like you booked through Expedia. And I was like, yep. She's like, you have to call them. And I was like, oh, my gosh. So I called Expedia, and I was put on hold, of course.
Of course.
Talking to them for like 5 minutes.
Right.
And the lady, she was definitely not a U.S. citizen. There's definitely a language barrier. And here I am talking to her. Maybe she was a U.S. citizen. I don't know. But there's definitely a language barrier.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Right.
It sounded like a call center in India.
Right, because you're not racist.
I backtracked the racist. So, anyway, she was like, I need to call the hotel and see if they will, like, waive it or whatever, I guess. All she said is, I got to call the hotel.
Right.
So she called the hotel, and it rang, like, twice, and the lady at the front desk didn't answer it. She asked me twice if I wanted some coffee. Both times I declined. I was like, no, I'm good. And then the third time, she was like, okay, well, y'all can hang out here as long as you need to. I was making the call in the lobby. She's like, I'm going to go make some coffee. And I was like, what is it with this chicken coffee? So she went and made coffee, and the phone rang, and it just stopped ringing after a couple of rings. And then I was on hold for like 5 or 10 minutes with Expedia. And then I go find the lady, and I was like, hello? You know, she was in the kitchen or whatever. And she come back in there, and I was like, hey, I'm on hold with the Expedia people, but I told them I'm standing in the lobby, so we're all here. I don't know why I couldn't just put it on speakerphone.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, well, my manager's still in the other room. And so she was like, maybe she's on the phone with them. Anyway, I don't think this girl was too bright that was working the desk.
Right.
So the manager stays in the office, and then the Expedia person clicks back over to me, and she's like, hey, I'm still on the phone with the property. Just stand by. And at this point, I've been sitting there for 20 minutes.
Right.
And then she clicks back over, and then after a few more minutes, the manager comes out. Dude, I'm talking, when you think of, imagine Karen in your head. Okay, first thing you see is probably her haircut. Exact haircut. Exactly to a T, the little short bob type.
Yeah, right.
Whatever,
right,
however
right,
you
right,
describe it.
Right.
This lady's 100 pounds overweight, and she's older.
Was she red-faced?
Oh, she was not happy. She was not happy. She come out, finger wagging in the air, but even before she started talking. I'm going to do a one-time wave of this. We normally do not do this, but I'm going to do it today. And we're just like, oh, thank you so much, you know.
Yeah.
Feeling her ego because I'd already paid the $300.
Right.
And she was like, we're going to refund that money to your card. And she was like, and what is this about a Holiday Inn? Because I booked a Holiday Inn, right?
Yeah.
And I needed to be on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
She's like, what is this about a Holiday Inn on next to the river on the other side? She was like, there is not a Holiday Inn down there. And I was like, well, the address, like I have the address right here. And Jason was literally reading reviews from May 25th, which was the day prior.
Right.
And she was like, well, there is a Holiday Inn Express on Boat Line Drive or whatever that was, but there is not one right next to the river. And I asked Crow, and he was like, dude, I was like, is there a huge rivalry around like the river and which side they're on? He's like, yeah, one side they think of like low class people, and the other side's all snooty and uppity. There's a big time rivalry, like high school sports, everything. And I was like, I could really tell, man, because when I mention this, people get uptight about it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, poor old Karen, dude.
So you get there about 4:00.
Uh-huh.
What time is it when you actually get into your room?
Oh, I booked the wrong hotel, and I booked it like 30 minutes before we arrived to that hotel. So then we had to drive to the next hotel. Booked it. We literally just walked into the hotel and was like, you got a room? And they're like, yeah, it'd be $150 plus tax or whatever. I was like, oh, awesome. This is closer and cheaper.
And cheaper, yeah.
And the people are nicer. And I'm not saying which side of the river's better, but I'm saying in my isolated little bubble experience,
yes,
I got to say the grass was definitely greener on the other side.
It sounds like it, man. Sounds like it.
We got in the hotel. Me and Jason got different rooms, cleaned up, got some food and stuff, but then got up the next morning and headed to the
So what was it, like 6:30 by the time you actually got into a room?
I couldn't tell you. It wasn't that far of a drive. We were just trying to, you want to do the driving the day before instead of the day of. So even if you can get 20 minutes closer.
Do you know what just happened?
That's better. What?
My watch just told me something.
What, time to stand up?
Andy Schill gave me kudos on my walk last night on Strava.
Did you take a walk?
Yeah, man, it's the first time I've done it. Well, okay, nobody knows this. I mean, you know this because we've talked about it, but I just got over pneumonia.
Yeah.
So I was on my butt for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And I mean on like
What
done.
was that like?
Oh, it was awesome. It was the best.
Great with the 2 kids
It was the best.
and the wife. Did any of them get sick or anything?
No, it's just me. Just me.
Oh.
It started out as kind of allergy stuff,
Mhm.
you know, where you get that glob of stuff in your nose.
That's what I
and
felt
then,
like.
Then it
Spit
dropped
and
down into my
everything.
throat, and then it got into my chest, and that's when pneumonia. Sorry, I don't know why I can't talk today, but that's why this sound effect is on because that happened to me in a video when I was filming. But no, it got into my chest, and that's how pneumonia forms.
So
is
that,
it gets down in there.
Is that fluid on your lungs?
Yeah.
Is it? It's caused by an infection or a virus or something?
I don't know all of it. All I know is I was on steroids and I was on antibiotics, and I coughed so much and so hard that I pulled a muscle in my stomach.
Oh, which muscle?
I don't know.
Just a muscle in your stomach?
It's like in the upper part of my stomach near my ribs. And my abs felt like I had been doing like ab workouts for like 7 days straight.
Just from the coughing?
Just from all the coughing. Oh, it was awful, man.
sucks.
It was awful. So I went on a walk, about a 2-mile walk last night, just under 2 miles, just to kind of get out because it's been a while and I want to go backpacking again. So I had to get back out and start walking and get my body back used to moving again. And Andy Schill, good old Andy, gave me kudos.
Andy loves the running and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, both those guys do, man.
Yeah.
Those guys are all about the running.
It makes me feel sick just thinking about
You
running
ran
like
a
I have been.
5K recently, though, didn't you?
Yeah, it's just for fun, though. My wife had signed up.
You just
so I
said
was
for
like,
fun. You ran for fun?
Well, I don't know. I ran because she wanted me to run.
Oh, okay. You ran for wife.
But I didn't. I hadn't trained for it or anything, so my
Right.
time wasn't great. It wasn't my best time,
That's okay.
but I still finished in front of a lot of people.
But you did it.
Yeah, I'm in a tough weight class, man. I guess it's not weight class; it's all age group now.
Yeah.
So
See,
like,
I'm getting at an age where people are slow.
oh yeah.
So
You can
if I
beat
was
those
actually
people.
if I was actually to train and like get myself to the point where I could do that, which I don't know that I ever will because I don't want to, but I could compete because they're old people now.
Mine's like 29 and below.
I know,
like
dude.
that's prime. So I'm on like
So
the end
you,
of
you
it.
realize like in 6 months you'll be in the next age up and you'll be the young end of that one.
They put me in the 30 to 39 on this last one.
Oh yeah.
I still didn't do good. I need to be in like either the Clydesdale division where it's like all like, you got to be heavy, or like the oldest group, whatever.
Yeah, but
whatever
you're
the group
tall,
is.
man. You get long strides. Like that's one thing you've got over me. Like I got these short little legs. And so when I run, what's kind of fun?
What?
I'm kind of loving the fact that we're at this coffee shop where you can hear the people talking, you can hear the coffee grinding, and it's kind of fun.
Unfortunately, they can hear us.
Yeah,
That's okay.
that's all right. They'll be all good. So, okay, let's get back to your trip. Let's get back to
Okay.
your trip. No more about me being sick and all that crap. But tell me about now you're at the hotel. You get up the next morning, you get breakfast. Now you're heading to the trailhead.
Yeah, went to the trailhead, and Crow was already there, of course. We were supposed to meet at 8 Central Time. And, dude, I have my phone set to not switch, like when I go to time zones, and my watch, too. But at one point, my phone switched and my watch didn't. And I was like, what? I was so confused. So, like, jumping ahead in what happened in the Sipsey Wilderness. I am doing a trip video of it, though. So you'll get
You're doing another trip video?
another trip video, man.
That's 2 in like the last 3 months.
And I'm going to the Smoky soon, and I plan on doing a trip video for that one, unless I change my mind.
Wow.
So we'll see. But anyway,
I almost did a trip video when I went down to Linville Gorge.
didn't do it.
No, I didn't want to do it.
It's-
So I didn't do it.
You just want to enjoy the beauty sometimes,
Yeah, I'm too jealous. I'm too selfish when it comes to hiking.
That's okay.
So you get to the trailhead.
Yep, Crow's already there, and we got there at like 8:03 Central Time. I'm sure Crow was there 5 minutes early. We pulled up and started backpacking, and dude, it was just me, Crow, and Jason for most of the day, and Squid came later in the day. So I think he got there right at dusk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it was like 7:30 or so their time.
When I went down there, we had a guy that joined us named Bill. It's a friend of Crow's. And he showed up. We were just hanging out, and he caught up to us right before we got to camp.
From behind?
Yeah, from behind.
Well, not us. We had we parked at different locations.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So like he had a shorter hike in. Dude, if we could go back, let me tell you about this first day. So we started backpacking in, and if I could go back, I would go back and park where Squid parked. So he parked at one place, and then, of course, Crow took him to his car whenever we got back at the end of the trip.
Right.
But it had rained all week around the location that we were going to, and it was like the faucet was cut off on Friday. So it rained Thursday. It rained on us as we were driving down.
Yeah.
And then, they call it like the land of a million waterfalls or 1,000 waterfalls or whatever it is. So they were all just running. And Crow's like, dude, I'm not going to lie. We came here and I done a similar trek. And I was on this trail and we had to do this water crossing. And he had already told us ahead of time, hey, your feet's going to get wet. I brought a pair of socks for every morning because I want to put on dry socks. But he was like, your feet are going to get wet. So I was like, socks, camp shoes. And then we got to the water crossing. It was 2.5 miles in. He was like, we got here, and it was 20 degrees out. This is on a trip previous that he was on in the wintertime.
Yeah.
And he was like, we couldn't cross it. It was up. You couldn't even see, like, where you cross at, there's a ladder to climb up. I mean, it is only like 8 rungs or something. It's a little ladder. You climb up, so you're up off the creek bottom and on top of the hill.
Yeah.
And he said they couldn't cross because you literally couldn't see the ladder. And whenever we were crossing, you could still see like the top 4 or 5 rungs. So without any knowledge of how deep this water was, we got there and you see the ladder sticking out on the other side, but it looked deep. And it had been raining so much that it was so muddy. And I was like, how deep is it, Crow? And there was like this whole giant group. I bet the amount of people in this coffee shop right now is probably how many people were camping at the area that we were at. There were kids, like a whole family. And we got to, like, the trail ended there. You either cross or you would have had to keep taking this trail that we didn't want to take. So we were like, well, I was like, this cross is not doable. We're going to have to turn back and find somewhere else to cross.
Right.
So we did, and we'd already hiked 2.5 miles. So we walked and walked and walked and got to a point where literally, like, it was so overgrown, you weren't going to be able to cross anywhere past there.
Right.
So then we hung out for a minute. Jason and Crow kept looking for a spot to cross, and I was like, there's no way that they're going to find a spot. So they talked, and they're like, look, we're going to have to backtrack the 2.5 miles, go across the bridge near the trailhead, 1/4 mile from the trailhead, then backpack the 2.5 miles just to get back to the other side of that creek. So that's 5 extra miles I was going to have to do. I said, I'm not doing it.
5 miles?
I said, look, guys, I'll take one for the team.
So you tested the water.
I had an extra pair of shorts. I had some running shorts, okay? And I brought them just in case I wanted to swim because I knew it's summertime. It's Alabama. It's probably going to be super hot.
Yeah, and humid.
Yes. So luckily it wasn't, though. It was nice. It was like a high 76 that day.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So I was like, I will check it out. I'll test the waters, and I'll see how deep it is if you all are willing to cross, if it's safe enough to cross. And they're like, okay, you take one for the team. You do it. Well, the issue was all the people were there at that crossing, and they had camped out the night before, and they were all just hanging out. And so we walked back down there. We had talked to them, and they're like, it's pretty deep. It's probably 4 foot deep. And I was like, yeah, we're not crossing here. And then we come back like 10 minutes later, and here I am taking off all my clothes, just wearing a pair of shorts. I put my shoes back on because I figured it was
Did you get this on video for your trip video?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Good deal.
That water was so cold. I went in, dude, the whole crowd just gathered around, and we're looking, and I got in there, and they were hooting and hollering. And I made it to the other side, and I touched the ladder, and I was like, yeah! I let out like a primal scream, and everybody was all hype. And
That's
then
great.
I walked back across. I carried Jason's backpack across.
Right.
They changed clothes and everything. Got my backpack and trekking poles and everything. We made it to the other side, hung out, and dried off. I went for a little swim. It was probably up to, I'd say, right here on Jason. So maybe it was 4 foot tall or so. But I went neck deep in there just to.
So the current wasn't too bad then.
The current wasn't too bad, but it was really cold, super muddy. You couldn't see the bottom. Got out on the other side and changed clothes and stuff. We started walking again, and I just left the shorts on. I was like, they'll dry.
They'll dry, yeah.
And we made it a little bit, and Jason's like, man, I think there's something in my shoe. And he took his shoe off and just dumped out like a bunch of mud and stuff. And I was like, I gotta clean my shoes out too. Like, you could feel it. It's all sandy and
All
gritty.
that
And
silt and stuff.
it's like the arch under your foot. You just feel the pressure.
Yeah.
Very I mean, you hiked in sand, pictured rocks.
Oh, yeah.
You know what it's like.
Yeah, wore out one of the toes on my socks.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So, yep, that happened, and that was 2.5 miles in. So then the rest of the trip, it was an adventure. Squid got there later.
Yeah.
And, dude, he was I'll tell you more off camera. There's more to it. But he come in, and so Crow went to like a turnoff, and that turnoff was maybe a half mile or so, maybe a little less from our campsite.
Yeah.
And he knew where our campsite was because he camped there before, but Crow went and met him at the turnoff, and he was going to walk him back in around the time he's supposed to. But there's no service out there. I texted him a couple times on my Garmin, and he was still supposed to arrive on time. So Crow went out there to meet him, and, dude, Crow come back after like 10 or 15 minutes. Jason and I were getting the fire going on night one, and Crow come back, and his eyes were the size of quarters. He's like, "You're not going to believe this, dude. There is somebody coming down the trail that I don't know if they're hurt or they're like, oh. And, dude, Jason and I were just sitting there around the fire, and we was like, dude, why are you messing with us? And we was like, did you and Squid come up with this, and you're trying to scare us?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we did not. And then far off in the distance, you could hear it. Closing in on camp. And Crow, he was like, you all are messing with me. Did you put Squid up to this? You couldn't see who it was.
Yeah.
And then finally he come into the camp, and he's like, oh. And Jason was like, you okay? And he was like, what? And then I guess he was like, gigs up, and it was Squid. He come in there, but
He's
dude,
messing with you guys the whole way up the trail.
He was messing with us. We didn't know who it was or what they were
That's
doing. He was like,
awesome.
I hope it's not Squid and he's hurt, or, he's dealing with something on trail, because it sounded like somebody that's like, they're dragging along.
Right,
and
right.
they're like, oh, help me. But, yeah, it was very interesting, not one. It was fun, though. I hadn't got to
That's
backpack
awesome.
with Crow for a while, and I never met Squidly. Gone Feral with Squidly.
Yeah, seems like a nice guy.
Oh, yeah. He is. And he and I had a lot to talk about because he used to be a teacher, too.
Oh, okay.
So
Very
he's
cool.
retired.
Very cool, man.
Yeah.
So it was a good trip all in all?
Yeah, all in all, I had a lot of fun. I'd definitely go back. And Crow is like, at certain times, he'd be like, okay, so we got this climb. It'll be a little bit of a tough climb, but that's where we're going to camp at or whatever. We got this tough climb coming up. And, dude, it was like the gorge. Like, if you imagine the climb from the bottoms up to, like, Indian Arch or something.
Right.
It's not that bad. It's only like a couple 100 feet up.
Yeah.
But I thought, man, the formations and stuff, I was like, this looks just like Kentucky. It's like a little Big South Fork.
Yeah.
Just stuck in the middle of Alabama. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. That's
it was
pretty
a fun
awesome.
trip, man.
So, what was your gear like for that one? Did you go a little bit lighter weight, or did you bring all the stuff?
Well, I brought a fish scale with me so we could all wear backpacks.
Yeah.
And everybody's was around 30 pounds or so. Now, Squid, he come there after, so I'd lift the scale in the vehicle.
So even Crow was at 30, huh?
Well, he also had everybody's steak for night one.
Okay.
For night one.
So he was much lighter after dinner the first night.
Yeah, his backpack was substantially lighter, and
Because he's an ultralight guy. Like, he keeps
Yeah.
his stuff really light.
Yeah, he slept. Well, I guess that both of them slept in a tent, and I brought the Pride of Kentucky, so that's always a little heavier.
You're right.
But I was super comfortable. His is probably the lightest backpack. Mine, I think, with water and all, was like 31 pounds.
That's good for you.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Once all my food was gone, I weighed my food, and I had like 7 pounds of food. It was crazy, just for 2 nights. And
So your base was probably like 15, 16 pounds.
I'd say it was more. I think without the food and water, I think it was like around 20.
Oh,
or so,
wow.
I'd say.
Oh, did you bring the big chair?
No, the big chair's broken.
Oh, I thought you got it fixed already.
No, I called the Helinox, and
Yeah.
they told me that they're like, look, if you fill out the warranty information, we'll send you. You can either send it to us, but you have to pay for shipping, which
Right,
is very
right.
common.
Right.
You pay for shipping, ship it back to us, and we'll fix it. Or we will mail you the shock cord and the instructions, and you can fix it yourself, which is what I'm going to do. I haven't filled out the warranty stuff yet.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I need it, though, because Bridget, me and her are both going to the Smokies. So I was like, one of us. Usually, what happens is I carry the big chair,
Right.
and then she carries like the 1 pounder, and then we get to camp.
And
I'm
she
like,
takes
"Which
the big chair, and you end up with the
I
1
say,
pounder.
which chair do you want? She says, the big one. I'm like, even though I'm taller, I love you that much.
That's awesome.
You could have the big chair. Yeah, I haven't fixed it yet, but it's
Man,
got
if
to
I
be
could just get my
simple.
wife on a trail, I would almost be willing to carry her backpack for her if I could just get her on a trail.
It's tough, dude. I had to carry Bridget's backpack and all of her stuff in it like the last 4 or 5 miles on the Foothills Trail.
I remember that, yeah.
I put everything that she had in her backpack in my backpack and then carried her backpack with my hand. Dude, that was tough.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to doing the Foothills Trail.
Oh, man.
I am so pumped about that.
Yeah.
Because me and the guys, we're going to... now, do you have to get permits for the campsites and all that kind of stuff when you go there, or is it just first come, first serve?
No permits, but you do have to pay for parking.
I knew that, yeah.
Depending on the Oconee or Table Rock.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm pretty sure I didn't get a single permit. I still have my little guidebook. I think it's on GutHook now, though. So you can download the GutHook.
It is. You mean Far Out?
Oh, yeah, Far Out or whatever
Far
it
Out.
is. Far out, bro.
dude.
Groovy. But I still have my little pocket guidebook with my little notes in there and stuff.
I might steal that from you. I might steal that from you.
Yeah, it's not after I talked to the Foothills Trail Conservancy, they were like, this is the bad book. And I was like, what do you mean this is the bad book? And they're like, somebody took all of our information and stuff that they had, Foothills Trail Conservancy, and then they just made their own guidebook, but it was all like stolen. I can't remember exactly what the deal was, but they were very adamant about how like this person was a thief, and they basically already published the book, and he just copied it and changed some stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's not cool. Just to make some money.
Made a lot of money, man. I used it, and then I put it on my YouTube channel, which I'm not saying that made a lot of money, but I mean, if everybody's using
if you put it on your YouTube channel, like
no,
everybody in the land of backpacking probably bought that book because of Jeremiah. So
no, I think that they were definitely like use the other one, but I already have this one purchased, so if you want to borrow it, more power to you.
At least check it out and get your notes and things like that, because I'm real excited about doing that trail. Real excited about doing that trail.
You're gonna get a lot of waterfalls on that one. Dude.
Oh, I know. I can't wait.
A ton.
I cannot wait.
And they're always running. They're always running there.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
When I was in Sipsey, there are some waterfalls. Like I bet we saw 3 or 4 double waterfalls. Like either it's waterfall up and then down lower, or it's literally like 2 different branches of creeks coming together
at a waterfall.
2 separate waterfalls or into one waterfall.
Oh, that's
so, like,
cool.
You got one on the left, one on the right. There's one called Little Ugly, and this is a beautiful waterfall. One
sounds like me.
A Little Ugly. The other one's like Deer Skull or Dead Deer Skull or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, where do these names come from? Nobody had any idea.
That's great.
I think people just make them up.
They do. It's not real.
No, like Jason, he has a campsite, and he calls it Jawbone just because they found like a
jawbone there?
Yeah, jawbone there. And that's how campsites are made.
That's amazing. Well, man, this is a shorter episode this time, but I wanted to hear about your trip. And I wanted to find out how everything went down to Sipsey. So if you're somebody who's looking for a really cool place to go backpacking, would you say that Sipsey's a good place to go check out?
Absolutely. I'll publish that trip video, and Jason's wanting me to make an all trails like the outline of the trip. Like all those trails are, not all of them, but a bunch of them are unofficial trails, like at the gorge.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with all trails.
Yeah.
All trails is notorious, and it almost got me and Southern Hike. When we got together down in Linville Gorge, there was a hike that I'd gone to there, and it had this trail that I was supposed to be able to go on. And then I get there and I talk to somebody local, and they're like, "There's no trail there."
So somebody just made it on all trails, made it public.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of those on all trails, so you gotta be real careful with all trails.
Yeah,
compared to like if you're using Gaia or if you're using Onyx, some of those are a little bit more.
Reputable
and safe, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say probably definitely look at the reviews and stuff of if it doesn't have a single review, then it might have just been somebody. I make all trails like map the trail out on a lot of the trips we go on, but then I might make like preliminary versions. I don't make them public.
Right.
But if you don't click to make it private, then it just throws it out there. So you could just be like literally making something up.
And you could get someone in trouble.
Yeah,
you could really get someone hurt
if they go to that trail and it's not there.
Absolutely.
But the Sipsey, a lot of those were unofficial, so What I'm going to try to do is I'll share that with Jason, and both of us will put it in our YouTube description.
Yeah.
So I know that really turns a lot of people off. They don't want the geotagging, which I'm not really geotagging, but it's literally like, this is a trail we went on, so if you want to tag it too, you can. But people can check that out if they want to see the exact route that we took.
Definitely. So if you're looking for a good place to go backpacking, Sipsey might be one of those places to go check out.
Wilderness, for sure.
So for myself and Jeremiah, it's been a good episode, man. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Adios, folks.